It's another bright Saturday. Thanks for staying tuned to your station, the AfricaTelevision, and welcome to your program, Security Watch Africa. Wherever you're watching us from, I say welcome to your program today. Whether you're watching us in Nigeria or outside Nigeria, it's a wonderful day to be alive. We'll have to think positive to get the desired goals and aspiration, make our aspiration to come to reality. Welcome to the program today. My name is Patrick Abambu. In the studio, I have a team that will be looking at a very important issue that affects you and I, that affects our nation, Nigeria, talking about the fight against insurgency. Because of some urgent pressure situation, we had to change the topic or the focus of our program today to look at this issue. Just within the week, the Amnesty International came up with a report that says that in the last few months, over 400 people have been killed in the IDP camps by the Boko Haram insurgents, and a lot of people have said a lot of things concerning that. But we have a team of, we have a group that is also concerned about it, so we decided to bring them to, let's look at what is happening to the fight against maybe particularly Boko Haram, not just insurgency, because when you talk about insurgency, it's wider. We have issues in the south area, southeast area, north central area, where you have the Marudin armed headsmen causing mayhem. But we want to focus primarily on Boko Haram to find out how the Nigerian military, are they succeeding in the fight, or is Boko Haram insurgents, have they resurged to create more mayhem and kill and create fear in the minds of people? So that will be our focus on the program today. But first, I would like to first of all congratulate the Nigerian police force for receiving a wonderful edifice yesterday in Nasarawa, Lafia, Nasarawa. The new command headquarters was commissioned by the Inspector General of Police, and that edifice that was built by the governor of Nasarawa State, talking about Umaru Tanko Al-Makura, and which is a set person really, because it's a pace setter, because we believe that security is paramount, and if the police that are supposed to, that is the lead agency in international security, do not have the wherewithal to do it, then I wonder what will happen to you and I, that are depending on them to provide our security. But that will be, that later on we'll be looking at other issues. Our visit to Enugu State, we are supposed to also take a look at it, because we went to Nsukka. Nsukka is a place where there have been a lot of issues, but we want to bring you what is happening in that area currently as we speak. But today, we're dedicating it to talking about the fight against insurgency and the Nigerian military. So in the studio already on my far left is Shino Phillips. Shino Phillips is, like you know, is the International Assessor of Security Watch Africa. Joining me in the studio is my brother Ibrahim Abubakar. Ibrahim Abubakar is the Executive Secretary of Sept Humanity Advocacy Center. It's a pleasure to have you in the studio. Looking at it. Let me just start with you, Ibrahim. The report by Amnesty International that over 400 people have been killed in just few months. Some have said this. There's actually saying that the government or the Nigerian military's slogan or talk that these Boko Haram people have been defeated, that is a false. I don't know, what is your take to that report?
Well, let me start by saying you cannot be far away from where something is happening and conclude. Like we have said before, and we will continue to say, Amnesty International, they are only acting based on what their paymasters have asked them to do. A couple of times, we as civil society organizations, since we are stakeholders in these regions and what happened, We've been to these regions, we've conducted surveys, and we know what is happening on ground. Now, the report Amnesty International is coming up with, it's not different from what they've been saying. Only yesterday, about 6 people were kidnapped somewhere in Yobe State, and less than 24 hours they were rescued, you understand. Now, if you look at the United States Department of State report, in the 2015 report, there was a 13% decrease in and 14% decrease in death. Now, last year's report that came out just 2 months ago is 9% decrease and 13%. So what that simply tells you is that we are winning the war against insurgency. Amnesty International, most times they sit in their headquarters, wherever they are, and they write their report. If they want to start writing reports, they should come on ground and let them, know what is happening. Now, one thing that I want people to understand, if you look at the casualties of attacks around the world, it has increased. But this is the first time in the past 10 years that Nigeria is not among the top 5 countries that are contributing largely to it. Because in the past, Boko Haram used to be number 5, but the latest report, Boko Haram is not there. And don't forget that just recently, not quite like 2 years ago, Boko Haram was the deadliest group. But now they're neutralized. If you look at the 40 days ultimatum that General Buratai gave to his men to capture Shekau alive now, what's the productive nature of that ultimatum? Now, over 90 fighters have been neutralized and 7 commanders, line commanders. So that's a great achievement for the army. Mm-hmm. So Amnesty International can keep on playing the tune of their paymaster. It's okay, it's fine. But
now, observers are actually worried because you agree that maybe in some few weeks ago there were attacks in Banki area, in some areas in Adamawa, where for a very long time there was no attack for some time, but they came back to attack. Some would say maybe that is to show that they can still fight. What do you adjust to this?
You see, we have to get something clear. The only ways or the major ways that this terrorist attack is by bombing and carrying suicidal, so is that infrastructural or this? That's their best way. Recently, in other countries, they have those attacks. You can't tell where the next bomb is going up. So it's something that happens all over the world. Thank God, just like you've rightly said, that they've not had attack there in a long time. Mm. So those things, they are the factors that you just can't take away. When somebody is going with the guerrilla tactics, you can't take that away.
Okay. Yeah. Now, let's look at, you mentioned something that actually is of interest. You talked about the 40 days ultimatum given by the Chief of Army Staff. I must actually commend him because some of us have said that without him, it would have been almost impossible to continue or to win this fight. But some have said, those who are against have said that 40 days have come and gone, nothing happened, that even Shekau came out with a video mocking the Nigerian government and Nigerian military. What would be your take on that too?
Now, I talked about the commanders that have been neutralized, line commanders now. Those people have appeared with Shekau on several videos. Yeah. But right now, he's even denied that he doesn't even know the people. Mm. So Shekau is running from one hole to the other right now. When I listened when the Chief of Air Staff talked about them clearing Sambisa Forest. Sambisa Forest is a mine that has been used in the past, as far as I'm concerned. If you look at it now, Shekau is nowhere. The army, they've taken control of the Sambisa Forest. Shekau is somewhere running around the Mandara Forest, where we know that most of the settlers there are not even Nigerians, they're Cameroonians and Chadians. Mm-hmm. So what Nigerians should be looking at is what have they been able to achieve within these 40 days. 7 commanders and over 90 fighters be neutralized. Mm. That's a great one. It's a plot. So what I think Nigerians should be looking at is to keep supporting the Nigerian army, keep encouraging them, just support in whatever way you can for them to do more. This is the situation that has happened in our country over the years. Nothing is being appreciated. And it kills the morale. But even if your father gives you a penny today and you say thank you, you are sure you'll get more.
That's true.
So we should keep encouraging
because that is angle I want to bring in Shino Phillips now. Some have said that these reports, Amnesty International had come out with various reports, human rights abuse, Transparency International came out with theirs, corruption, and now this other one. Can't this report, would it in any way affect the psyche or the morale of the men that are on the battle line?
You see, from all that he has said, I will not disagree less with him at all. Truth of this is that this report a bit is spurious, being that you can tell, the world over can tell with what the army, the hierarchy of the Nigerian army has done so far in the area of procurement, in the area of due diligence, which has dealt with corruption totally and improved human rights record. Otherwise, the Trump administration would not in any way even permit the sale of its A-29 Tucano aircraft to the Nigerian military. And so I think at this point, which of course, again, by that singular act, it has shown that all embargoes laid a place on Nigeria from purchase of arms and aircraft from the United States has shown that there's strong improvement against the war, the fight against insurgency. And to buttress that, the Nigerian military, so far, we are not. So far, right now, we are not. They are not in the bid to defeat Boko Haram. They have defeated them. They want to bring them to extinction. And it requires collaborative efforts from all agencies and Nigerians in particular, and those in the northeast. It requires the Nigerian military, of course, which of course they've stepped their game by way of sensitization to bring all together to understand that this particular ideological war can be fought with people having a deep understanding of it, and then begin to expose anyone that comes around. To take away this casual form of bombing is totally impossible. But I can assure you, because the fight right now, the Nigerian government, the military, and Nigerians basically wants to bring this to extinction, and it can be achieved.
All right, that can be achieved. That is the view of my guest in the studio. If you're joining us, this is your program, Security Watch Africa. It's an audience, but it's a viewer participatory program. You can join us. You can communicate with us so that we can share views. Let us know what you think, or ask any particular question. We can look at it collectively, or pass it to the authorities that can give response to that via our social media platform. We have the Facebook fan page. You can like us on Security Watch Africa. Then send your comment or your view. For those who already have liked us, please send your views or your question to us. We can go through it here and take it up with you. Or tweet. You make use of the Twitter, and we know some presidents of countries are using Twitter to communicate. So you can communicate with us via Twitter, so we can chat, we can communicate with you too. Or send us an email with what you think is a view on what we're discussing, your view on what we're discussing today, so that we can interact. Let me come to you, Ibrahim. A lot of things have been said. We can't overflow the fact that, yes, Boko Haram is not as potent as they used to be some few years ago. And we have been able to, people, life is bubbling. Security Watch Africa spent more than a month in the northeast, and we saw that we went as far as Mungunu, Banki, and those areas. But what should be the responsibility of the people now? Because the military cannot, some of these suicide bombers are living with the people. I don't think they are still in the forest or in the deserts or wherever, but they must be living with the people. So what should the people be doing now? Yes,
a couple of weeks back, I was on air on one of the television stations, and I said something that during our research, in as much as economic activities is returning to these regions, that most families, like I said then, and people were wondering, I say a lot of families, you can't even tell where you have the Boko Haram member right now. So it's a major challenge. But you as an outsider, you cannot tell. But those within these communities, they know them.
Exactly.
So it's their primary responsibility to start giving information to the Nigerian military, so that these things can be curbed. Because all over the world, issues of security has to do with intelligence first before anything. Forget about whatever. It's human intelligence first. So, and how do you get that? In as much as the military have their people, at various, undercover areas, but the residents of everywhere needs to start giving them information ahead of time to curb these things.
Okay,
that's the best way to go about that.
Okay, that's the best way to go about it. Some had even there was report that some parents are donating their wards, their children, to this Boko Haram for suicide bombing missions. What will be your organization take on that?
Yeah, we've seen this report, and Save Humanity Advocacy Center, we are doing some research on that to identify that, and lots of enlightenment campaign, to orient the public of the dangers of going into all this sect. Because most times when they come, they come as if they want to give their children out as to go and become a scholar, or what they call almajiris. So you send your child there. For those people that have given birth to children that they cannot train, they start moving them there. That, okay, go and learn this from so-so scholar. And at the end of the day, these children will be brainwashed into that line. So, and once you've been indoctrinated, that's it. So what we are doing as a people, as a CSO, we are enlightening the public on the dangers of all these things.
Yeah, because I can see some tables here. Maybe what you can let us into some of these things you
so
have here.
This was what the United States, through the Department of State, they carried out, like I said. Now, if you look at 2015, Nigeria was number 5 here. Now, the last report, 2016, Nigeria is number 6. Then if you go further to the 5 perpetrators group with the most attacks worldwide in 2015, Boko Haram was number 3. Then come down to 2016, Nigeria is nowhere. So what does that tell you? That there's improvement, that the Nigerian military is winning the war.
Yes.
So this is a dumb deal.
Where's the report
coming from?
And you know, if 400 people should go right now, the whole nation will feel it.
Yeah. Okay.
So what Amnesty International, they've been in this trade for a long time.
Yeah.
So I think they should be allowed to do to carry out those false reports and these things that they are propagating. This is why the other time we said, okay, we don't want Amnesty International in Nigeria. Because this is causing unrest in the society. All forms of propaganda that they've been pushing against this, we are aware of these things. So as far as I'm concerned, that's a business report, and people should pay less attention to them as a people because they failed. This is not just starting now.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's not even an issue.
So what should we be doing now?
Towards
making sure that no Nigerian life is lost.
Okay, if you, like my brother here rightly said, it's because of when the United States military, they visited Operation Lafia Dole, and they saw what was on ground physically, and that was what triggered the sale of that. They said that a lot of people were saying, okay, they won't sell because they've seen they've seen the commitment, and most importantly, in as much as they follow the rules of engagement and they go in line with the international best practices that concerns human lives and human rights actions all over the world. So it's important. So it's because of that they decide, okay, they were selling this equipment. So those are on ground. And we've talked about the residents passing on information, do you understand? And that's all.
There must be some challenges. That is the area where I would want us to look into that the Nigerian military may be facing in this war, apart from information being passed to them, apart from equipment being gotten. What other challenge do you think can be taken care of to help them win this war? Finally, to help us all win this war?
Well, like my brother said, I want to believe this war it's been won already.
Okay.
It's just like he said, to put them in extinction completely.
What do we do to put them in extinction?
That is what the Nigerian army is doing already.
But
because if they were not trying to extinct them completely, they won't procure more equipment.
Okay,
so that's what they are doing. You understand?
In such fights, in this kind of fights, after military might will at one point go down a bit, where you have the civil policing, and without the civil policing opening up their game, all the gains of the military might be wasted. So I don't know. That's what I'm trying to look at now. What stage are we now? The military has been able to incapacitate them. The remnants are the ones causing these problems we are seeing here and there. Yeah. But how can this civil police take up now and ensure that no life is lost again?
Well, I would say that already they are performing that role, as it were. The point is that, as I said, it's a collaborative thing. It's a patriotic thing. All Nigerians must come together and begin to release information. As stakeholders, you have a say.
Okay.
So you definitely, once you observe, you see any, cry out.
Just like we are doing on this program.
As we're doing on this program.
Everybody.
Mark you with
Save
ISIS.
Humanity Group was also doing that too.
Yes, mark you with ISIS. For very enlightened mind, highly educated people, somehow they indoctrinate them. So imagine those who are far less educated. However, they need to understand that this is an ideological war. Extinction comes by sensitizing the people and making sure that they understand what the war is all about.
You agree with that?
Yeah, I agree completely with that, because if you recall, they started this like a religious thing, but now we are not hearing that anymore because they failed in that tactics. Okay. You understand? Now, during the UK attack, Theresa May went to the parliament and she said, look, if these elements will continue, we must amend our laws today.
That's it.
So let's also look at the act of the army, and let's look at a way to amend these things to make them properly carry out the activities without hitch.
Okay, I know that some time ago, some months ago, CIS, like which you are part of, your agency is also part of, the one with Philip Agbese, organized some activities in line with that, even there in Maiduguri. Are you planning to do the same again? You know, it's a continuous process until peace returns to the region 100%. Okay. Like as a presently, SHAC is carrying out enlightenment programs in northeastern states, you understand, for lots of activities, enlightenment programs, and a way of aid support, and so on and so forth. All right. That is what we are looking forward to a time where we'll not be having these Nigerians, because anywhere a Nigerian is and is being killed, a Nigerian is affected. So we all must do everything possible to protect the lives of our brothers wherever they are, whether in the northeast, the south, wherever it is. Every Nigerian life is important and it must be protected. So we'll have to leave because other programs will have to continue. But maybe let me get the final word from you, Philip. Unfortunately, we won't be able to, we can't take some of the reports we had planned for this week because of this discussion. But what will you be saying? My take is simply, Nigeria is working. We are the giant of Africa. We are not just saying it is working, and definitely it will show. And I know that by next week we'll be bringing to our viewers some of the visits to Enugu State and particularly to Bayelsa State about what is being done, because we want that to be a model to the rest of the country. Absolutely. Okay. Yeah. From you, what will be our last take now? Yeah. The basic thing is, for us to achieve maximum security, let's always cry out, like we've said earlier, give information, no matter if you notice any unusual movement, report to the relevant authorities. All right. If you notice any unusual movement, report to the relevant authorities. You can report to them. They are close to you than you can think of. And you can also send to us. Tell us what you have seen, and we'll take it up with the authorities concerned in confidentiality. That you can be guaranteed, and because we have the contact to reach whoever is in any of the security agencies that needs your attention. Send us that information you think is important so that we can pass it across. Until we'll come your way again next week. It's sad, when you're presenting program, time is the essence. It's not enough for us to continue, but so we'll have to give way for other programs to continue. So until next week, when we'll come your way again, I will say bye for now and remain blessed.